Stand by, guys.
Father's Day is Sunday, and WagerTalk has a perfect gift for all you dads out there.
25
Lock in as
seconds.
many handicappers as you want for 3 days for only $29 each using coupon code DAD29. This coupon goes live on Sunday and is active until midnight, dropping the price of a 3-day all access from $69 to $29, coming out
10
to
seconds,
less than
cutting on
$10
mics
per day.
now.
Just go to WagerTalk.com, choose your favorite handicapper, use coupon code DAD29 at checkout, and repeat as many times as you want until midnight.
7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dro, you hot?
All right, guys, welcome in here. Time for the Friday edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com. And there is nothing, and I mean nothing like urgency in the playoffs. And boy, we got a couple of games here tonight that it is put up or shut up time here for a couple of teams. Game 6 is Sixers taking on the Hawks in Atlanta. Will Atlanta do the unthinkable and push away the 76ers, give them some plane tickets to Cancun? Time to go. We also got Utah versus the Clippers. Well, is this it? Utah Jazz, #1 seed. Will their season be done? And then we'll touch base, of course, the ultimate Game 7. That'll be Saturday, tomorrow, with that series tied up 3 games apiece. Nets taking on the Bucks. A lot of urgency here. And who better to break these games down with than, well, the Friday crew here. Look at this 3 going on. Ski Prophet in the house at the top. Stevie in the middle, Merrill hanging out. And, of course, our main man, Kevin Dolan, here, ready to make it a profitable evening in the association. So, Ski, let me start with you here last night. Kind of like watching paint dry, that damn game last night. So, apparently, it's the first one to 100 wins. I did not know that with the Nets and the Bucks, but apparently that's the way it's going to be. How did you do last night? And, of course, what do you got going at WagerTalk.com tonight in the association, or WNBA, or MLB?
Yeah, last night was unsuccessful. I had the over, and it did not look good. We're going to talk about that game a little bit more today, but saw some things I liked, saw some things I didn't like. I don't have any action up for today just yet, but I will be in action shortly after the show.
All right, let's go there, Merrill. What do you got going, my friend? I know it's a loaded card here today. A lot to these 2 games in the association. A lot of MLB on tap here tonight. What do you got going, Merrill?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there is a lot of MLB, actually. I passed on the game last night as well. In fact, I've stayed off the last 2 games in that Milwaukee series. I'm just not going to try to guess who's playing, how they're going to play. In hindsight, the Durant over props back in Game 5 were probably the way to go. And I actually did a video with John Ryan on Tuesday afterwards, after I did some other shows, and we talked about that. I was like, I just don't see how Durant doesn't have a monster game, win or lose, for Brooklyn. I felt like maybe that was a little more priced in last night. We'll talk about that game, of course, here a little bit later for Saturday. But I do have a strong best bet tonight in the NBA playoffs. Also a baseball best bet. Baseball hitting over 60% this month. NBA on over a 62% run over the past month since early May. So it's a good time still to get on board. And quickly, promo code Steve100 gets you $100 off any 30-day package or longer. Steve100 for a $100 discount on any 30-day all access or longer at WagerTalk.com.
Get it done. All right, Merrill. Kev, talk to us. I know you got a lot going on. You got the Euros, you got the Copa, you got, of course, you got basketball happening here. How's your week been, man? And what do you got ready tonight here at WagerTalk.com?
It's been all good, Joe. We're looking at some stuff right now in the NBA for this weekend of Circle 1 play, potentially for tomorrow as well, which I like. So pretty excited about that. And then, as you said, over in the Euros as well, full swing right now. We've had 3 straight winning nights. Cashed that big 5% winner on Tuesday as well. And we've got another 5% play loaded up for Monday. So excited about that, and excited, obviously, break down some NBA today.
All right, let's do it here, guys. 2 Game 6s on tap. We'll start game #1 there, right around 7:35 Eastern Time tip-off. Sixers taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Now, this game, it hovered around the 2.5. It made it up to 3. It's been back down to 2.5. Then it went back up to 3. So then it 2 in some places, too, as well. So there's a lot of back and forth going on in the marketplace. The total has creeped up a little bit. I am seeing 223s now in a number of places in the market. So, Ski, I'll start to you. Listen, it's outside of Embiid and Seth Curry, the Sixers, the production's just not there. And it can't just be a 60% Embiid and Seth Curry trying to be his brother. Like, somebody else has to step up. Do they? Do you think they can get it done on the road in Atlanta tonight, or is this series over in your mind?
I think that they can get it done. I think that they're the better team. Like you mentioned, I would expect those two guys to continue to have success. I mean, Embiid, he's looked pretty unstoppable besides maybe the second half of the last game. But I think that they'll put together a full 48 minutes here. So I look to play on Embiid as far as props go. Curry, I'll always endorse him just because, I mean, his props are sitting between 13 and a half and 15, and he's averaging more than 18. He's averaging like 20 points per game in this series. And so I like his points. And I also would go for his 3-pointers. I guess you can get that when you go for his points. I like the Sixers to win this game. And I just think that their defense is still better. It's just a matter of being locked in for a full 48. So slight lean to the Sixers on the total, lean under, because I'm thinking that they're going to do it with defense. Nothing's super strong, but if I play it, that's how I'll go.
So something's got to be done here, Merrill. You got Simmons 12 of 39 from the free throw line, and yet he's still playing late in games. And you can see he looks like a deer caught in the headlights in the final 2.5 minutes of each game here. You also have a different Embiid. He's one guy in the first half, and then he seems to slow down immensely here in the second half. That knee is obviously an issue for him. So what do you do here if you're Doc Rivers tonight? Do you think Atlanta is poised to win this and close it out at home tonight?
I mean, I guess you could maybe play him on the first half if you got those concerns. I mean, Philly wins the first half of Game 5 by 22 points, lose outright. They win the first half of Game 4 by 13 points on the road. They lose out. Or Game 3, a 5-point margin at the half. In fact, the only one, of course, was Game 1, in which they were down by 20 after the first 2 quarters there, and then they outscored them by 16 the rest of the way. They won the next 2 games by 16. They're up by 22 at the half in the last game, as I mentioned. So it's not like Atlanta's dominating this series. Philly's just finding remarkable ways to let them back in and blow in games. So with their back against the wall, do or die time, I know Atlanta's got a very strong home court. Almost said home field, home court. I still think Philly is capable of, dictating the pace, the tempo, everything else they want to do in this series. It does concern me a little bit about Embiid's health, obviously. But keep in mind that Trae Young has a shoulder issue. He's expected to play, but he's not 100% healthy either. So I think we can say that's a wash. And Philly, the better team, back against the wall, they should bring their A game tonight.
So it's interesting that the total is creeping up the marketplace with the side there, Kev. Half a point one way or out, 2.5, 3, back to 2.5, even a 2. So there is certainly some Atlanta money in the marketplace here. But how do you approach this game? From the side, from the total? What are you looking at?
It is a tough one, Joe, because that's an absolute horror show on Wednesday. -7 favorites at home. 26-point lead. They were cruising by 18 points heading into the fourth. I'm not sure there's any excuse, for how that fourth quarter went down for Philadelphia. And obviously, look, they're staring at elimination on the road here. My own view in these type of games is you simply can't switch this kind of thing on and off like a tap. Doc Rivers is saying they'll be back. It was tough. The players were down, but they'll recover. They'll win here on the road for Friday. But I just have my doubts. You mentioned at the start, Ben Simmons, 32.8% from the free throw line. I'm not an NBA player, but I reckon I could near hit that number, and then what? Suddenly he's going to be on fire 48 hours later. I don't see it. Philadelphia do need to stamp, and as Steve said, they do have the ability to do it pretty much as they did in the last game, actually stamp on them early, only this time try and keep it up. Trae Young went off for almost 40 points on Wednesday, 39 points. That was his highest point tally of this series, but even if Philadelphia try and focus on limiting him here to some degree, as they did in games 3 and 4, his assists then usually go up as a result. So I like Trae Young over 9.5 assists tonight, and even money. He's already covered that number 3 times this series already. And I like him to do it again tonight. And if I had to pick a side here, it'd probably be Philly just because of the spot. But it's not a bet I'm looking to get into. So, yeah, Trae Young for me, over 9.5 assists for me.
You also, guys, got the unders cash in 3 of the last 4 games here between these two teams. So the total is creeping up here a little bit. Keep an eye on it before tip-off. That's 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time tip. And that's game 1. And then, of course, the late game tonight out west, going back to the Staples Center. And we're going to a John Ryan angle of the day. Our good friend John Ryan over at sportsmemo.com says that we want to bet on a home team in a game lined with 3.5 points on either side of a pick and a total between 210 and 220. And if the visitor has outscored their opponents by an average of 5 or more points per game on the season, and if the team has played 3 consecutive games where a minimum of 220 points were scored in each, well, 12-2 against the number. That's 87% ATS over the last 5 seasons. Interesting enough, 5-0 ATS, covering by an average of over 16 points in the playoffs over the last 5 years. So we want the Clippers to close it out. Take the plus money, sprinkle a little bit on the money line, or just put it all on the money line because John Ryan thinks this series is over here tonight, guys. Staples Center we go with the Clippers. Getting 2 points as an open. It has since, in a number of places, gone up a half. I'm seeing Utah's a 2.5-point favorite here at some shops. I'm looking at a total. Well, that's creeping up too. 220.5 now from an opening of 218.5. So, Merrill, I'll come to you first here. Injuries are a theme, and they are a thing. We know this, and I can tell you, we know Kawhi Leonard ain't going to be there. But Donovan Mitchell don't look altogether there either for Utah. Mike Conley's hamstring is obviously toast. I don't know that they're ever going to get him back here if they manage somehow to win this game tonight. But what do? Do you take the points with the home team? Do you lay it? What do you think we're going to see here?
I mean, I don't like to back teams that just played horrendous in what was a very good situation. Yet, it's hard to imagine Utah can't keep their season alive against a Kawhi-less Clippers team that's shown the tendency to let down. Although you almost wonder now that they don't have Kawhi if the Clippers are more focused suddenly. I mean, it appeared that way the other night. Biggest thing to keep in mind, guys, and I knew this was a bad sign for Utah, was that I think they were like plus 20-some points from three-point range at the half, and they were only up by 5. Overall for the game in Game 5, they made 23s, 20 for 54, 37%, and they still lost outright by 8. Now, the Clippers did hit 16 for 40%. So the Clippers relied on it as well as they've done all season. But, now that Mitchell is questionable, game time decision, I think he plays, but he's probably not 100%. As you said, Joe Conley, he plays. He's probably not 100%, though. It's a tough spot for Utah. I still think the Jazz find a way to win this one. I just think we saw it all season. When a star player was out, you just blindly play on those teams, and they just covered like money in the bank, like over 70% of the time. Thought it wouldn't be the same in the playoffs. I thought the Jazz, especially after back-to-back losses, would be more focused. But it does concern me that LA was able to score down low as easily as they did at times in that game. But I'd still lean Utah here, just which I knew for sure how healthy Mitchell was going to be.
So hard to tell there, Kev. It's been an interesting series from the total perspective, too. Went over last game here. I don't know where do you go with this? It's only creeped up a little bit here now, a couple of points. But what are you going to do? Side, total, how are you going to approach it?
Well, I'm going to save the side in this one for my best bet, but in terms of a total, I do lean over here tonight. It's just Utah have been way off in this series offensively for me so far. 6.5 points per game less than their season average. Their offensive efficiency is way down. Their fast break efficiency also way down as well. And, while that might naturally lead you to look towards the under here, this is an elimination game for the Jazz tonight. They simply won't be able to get away we're putting up 18 points a quarter as they did in Game 5 or 13 points a quarter in Game 4. I think Utah have to come out the blocks fast. They have to at least try and look to set the tempo in this game as well. And because of that, I like the first half total over 108 tonight between the Jazz and the Clippers here.
All right, looking at the first half total there. All right, Ski. Playoff P in the house, man. What is he doing tonight? Does he put this team on the back and close it out, or does Donovan Mitchell show up, show out, bring it back to Utah for Game 7?
I pray Paul George doesn't. It's tough. Donovan Mitchell banged up the way he is. It's tough to put my money on Utah as much as I want them to win. So I'm going to look towards the total, and I agree completely with what Kevin said. I mean, pretty much every game I was on the first half over in this series, except for the last one, just because when Kawhi got hurt, I was unsure of the starting lineup that they would throw out there. But they're still going with the small ball, and small ball lends itself towards over. We've seen plenty of 60-point quarters throughout the series. Like I've said, every single game, I think we can get one of them in the first half. And so first half total of 108 just seems extremely low. You look at the last 3 games, they average, I think, 116.7 in this series, the last 3. You want to look at season long, they average 116 in the first half. So plenty of opportunity for points. I mean, Utah's going to live and die by the 3 regardless who's hurt or not. Clippers are shooting their fair share of threes. There have been multiple games this series where they shot over 90 combined three-pointers. So plenty of opportunity for points, and I like them to come in the first half. If I'm looking at player props here, I would probably look towards Reggie Jackson. 3-point prop is still sitting at 2.5. I don't know why you're not going over. He's gone over 10 of the last 11, at least 3 3-pointers in all of those games. Other than that, for the other side, I probably would look towards Royce O'Neal. This one, probably a little bit of adjustment, I think, today, up to 8.5. But you can find an 8. It'll be a little bit juiced. But he's gone over 7.5, I want to say, in like 9 straight games. So I think those are 2 solid bets, or 3 solid bets.
Love that. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways, certainly from the prop markets and player props there to approach these games tonight. A lot of those are going to be correlated to probably what we are going to see. But we do have one other game we want to talk about coming up tomorrow, Saturday evening. Doesn't get any better than a Game 7, guys. Bucks, Nets, right? 8:30 Eastern time tomorrow night, Saturday night. Hoops, 215 as a total. Is what I am seeing, so that's coming down a little bit, and still seeing the Nets looking like they are. Look, are they getting one? I think they're getting one, as opposed to laying one. They are the home team here in a Game 7. So the question remains here, Kevin. I'll come to you. What are you going to get from Harden? What are you going to get from Durant? Kyrie, as what we just saw the other night was just, it's unbelievable. It's hard to believe these are the same 2 efficient offensive teams that we saw during the regular season, but it's a different game. It's a Game 7. Who do you trust more to show up and show out and get this job done? Who's advancing?
Well, as you said, it's a Game 7. I mean, who doesn't love a Game 7? I'm very close to firing on the total in this one. I'm going to make a decision later tonight. But, in terms of a side, I do lean Brooklyn here, definitely. Obviously, Brooklyn, look, they've come way off the boil since that Game 2 win. This series looked over after Game 2. I know it was early, but just the way they won that game, at home against Milwaukee, they put up 125, blew them out. But since then, they've lost 3 of the last 4. They're averaging just 95.5 points per game as well. So, there's definitely obviously huge concerns ahead of this one, and it's not going to make my card decide. But I do like the spot here for Brooklyn. Barkley's probably be electric atmosphere in a Game 7. Harden actually looks a lot better as well with each passing game. Went 0 for 8 from 3-point range in Game 5. So if he's even back, I should say, at 75-80% here, that's going to be a huge boost to the Nets offensively. And historically, look as well, the fact that the Bucks have won just 2 of 9, I should say, Game 7s in franchise history. All games in this series have also been won by the home team as well. And I was reading a stat earlier on that said home teams are 109-31 in Game 7s in general. That's 77.9%. So there is plenty to like about Brooklyn here spot wise tomorrow night. And I'm in firm agreement with the line move. I think I checked it earlier, and it's flipped to Brooklyn -1. So, yeah, I agree with that, and I would lean Brooklyn here.
So, Ski, it's Harden's hamstrings not allowing them to to really push the tempo at all. I mean, everything Brooklyn was playing was in the half court. That obviously doesn't bode well for them. So what different are we going to see here in Game 7 from Brooklyn outside of the game being home? If he can't push the pace, I don't know. Do you give the edge to Milwaukee here?
I kind of agree with what Kev said as far as Harden looks better each game, looked better last game than the first. I think he'll be a little bit better in the next game. And I thought that he was controlling the game pretty well in the second quarter when I was watching. Even when Kevin Durant was out, everybody else was involved. He hit a couple shots, got in rhythm. So I think that's more of the way that Steve Nash sees the team playing, because before that second quarter, I think it was like a quick timeout break. He said that he wants them to play with more pace. He just didn't like what he saw from them on offense. So I think that we will see pace in this game. And I think that the people who've been struggling for Brooklyn, like Joe Harris, et cetera, those role players are going to play better in front of their home crowd. And I like points probably first half in this next game. Probably stay away from the full game because it's a Game 7. They can clamp down and maybe play a little bit slower in that fourth quarter. As far as the side, I have to go towards Brooklyn. I just don't trust the Bucks when it matters. If they're not winning by margin, I'll be biting my nails if I'm a Bucks backer, because Giannis doesn't shoot free throws well, and just not a good closer. You have Harden, much better closer. KD, much better closer. Those are the guys that I trust, especially at the house.
All right. Well, it's certainly been a trend here, Merrill. Looks like home teams have held serve here in this series, Game 7 in Brooklyn. We've also seen a ton of unders here. Let us not forget this series started right around 240 in Game 1. It's been nothing but downhill there. So Game 7, a little jittery. What do you think we're going to see here?
Yeah, remember, Joe, before Game 1, we were saying, or you said, will we see a mid-240 total? And I was like, well, if, Game 1 soars over, maybe they'll have to adjust it that way. But it kind of started the other way out of the gate there. And now with all the injuries and everything else, it's just completely out of whack. Big question for me is, how healthy Harden is. It's the guy, keep in mind, when he came back, kind of had a feeling that they were rushing him back in Game 5 because Kyrie Irving suddenly is out and Harden's back, but you knew he probably wasn't 100%. And he was 1 for 10, 45 minutes played, 1 for 10 shooting in that game with just 5 total points. And that's another reason why Kevin Durant had 49, 17 rebounds, 10 assists. As I said earlier, that over, I think it was 47.5 for the triple. He had like 69 combined, or whatever it was, 59, 66. So, he had a monster game. And here again, as Ski said, would you rather have Giannis or would you rather have Kevin Durant in your team for a Game 7? I mean, there's no doubt who the real superstar is in that equation. And I do think that's a concern. As Kevin said, also, home teams have been a very strong play in Game 7s. Something that also normally does hit more times than not is the under in Game 7s, because when your back is against the wall, you do see the NBA guys play harder defense. So those are a lot of angles historically that have worked. But once again, so much uncertainty in this game with who's healthy, who's not. We'll wait and dig into it a little deeper tomorrow. But it's going to come down to James Harden. I hate to say that because I think Harden and both the Greek are two of the most overrated superstars in recent years. Whereas Kevin Durant's maybe one of the most underrated superstars ever, in my opinion. Think about it. If Kevin Durant wasn't playing alongside LeBron James his whole career, he'd probably be considered one of the all-time greats. He's been kind of overshadowed. But we'll see what happens here. I think it's going to really come down to James Harden to decide this series, probably.
That'd be interesting. Also, we talked a little bit about it, Ski, too, with the Nets game. Like, what were we going to see from the officials yesterday? We were wondering whether the whistles would remain. But boy, oh boy, how many? I think Durant only had, 2 free throws the entire evening. So that's usually not Kevin. That's not very Kevin Durant-esque. So we'll see what happens with the refs here in that game tomorrow, that being in Brooklyn, 8:30 Eastern time for Game 7. So that means it is time to check it out. We got 3 games on the board, a whole lot of different ways to go about it. We'll ask these guys in 60 seconds to give us one of their favorite angles here and which way they are going in these games. 2 tonight here. Ski, we'll start with you. You are running point, my man. Wrap it up for us. Which way you going? What's the best angle for you here tonight?
I've been having success on total, so I think it's best if I stick with that. And out of all the games that we talked about, I feel strongest about the Utah and the Clippers total. I mean, all it took for me in this series to see it was going to be an over series was the first game. They shot 41.5% combined, had no fast break points, really just 6. And they did shed a lot of three-pointers. They got to 221. After seeing that, I mean, if they shoot a little bit better each game, you're going to get those points. And we know we're going to get the three-point attempts. Like I said, they had 90 plus in at least a couple of these games, these series. So I think they've had a few 60-point quarters each game. I think we'll get one in the first half. I like the first half number over 108. I think was the best one that we could get.
Yep.
And I'll shout out those props: Reggie Jackson threes, Royce O'Neal points.
Ooh, I love it. All right, expecting some points here tonight. 108 certainly does seem low, so let's get it going there. Utah taking on the Clippers here tonight in Game 6. All right, Merrill, you got it, man. Steve Merrill, he's in the middle, and he's got 60 seconds, and I'm sure he's got a prop somewhere. So go ahead, man. Where are you going here tonight? Talk to us.
I got a promo code for you. I think that's a good prop. Steve, yeah, that's right. Steve 100. Once again, Steve 100 gets you $100 off any 30-day, 90-day, or full-year package at WagerTalk.com. You know, I preach a long-term investment approach, both baseball and basketball hitting over 60% since last month. Great time of year to get on board. Steve 100 gets you $100 off any 30-day or longer all access, including both strong best bets tonight for Friday, covering the NBA and MLB. Going to give you a free prop. I do have a prop for you, a free prop for my best bet for the show here. I always like to take a contrarian view in the playoffs. Teams make adjustments, players bounce back, zigzag. And Ben Simmons will be my zigzag tonight. Let's look at him over on some props. Instead of 13.5 points, let's play over 29.5 for points, rebounds, and assists. He's gone over this now in 3 of the 5 games in both series. And after one of his worst games, I think it's a good bounce back spot. We get a little value with Ben Simmons over 29.5 for the triple. We throw it to Kevin Dolan, a little boxing action. Fighting Friday.
Nice. Yeah. Now you're talking. Now you're right up Kevin's alley there. Very good there, Merrill. Love it. Yeah, exactly. I love it. All right, talk to us. Yeah, exactly. Talk to us. Where do you think, Kev? Where are you going to go tonight?
Yeah, we'll same as Steve. We got a coupon code as well up, actually. Italy 40 is live. That's Italy 40. That knocks a full $40 off our Euro 2020 tournament package. So heading over to WagerTalk to grab that. Obviously, not my idea, Italy 40. No guesses as to who came up with that. But best bet-wise, I agree with John Ryan. I really want to be wrong here, but I got to take a shot with the Clippers money line tonight, plus 115. I think that's the same with the value. You know, I know all the focus right now is obviously on Kawhi Leonard's injury, but it's not all one-way traffic. We discussed this earlier. No, Mike Conley, likely out for the Jazz tonight. Donovan Mitchell as well, game-time decision. Even if he is fit, he's saying his knee is worsened considerably during this series. That's a huge concern moving forward for the Jazz. You know, it should be a full-capacity house in Staples Center tonight. I'm going to be rooting for my future on the Jazz, obviously, but they do look like a team in really deep water right now. And unfortunately, I like the Clippers tonight to make that move into the Western Conference Finals. So, yeah, Clippers for me on the money line, plus 115, best bet.
Oh, there you go. Little tuck and roll there, Merrill. I love that. Very good. Kevin Dolan, Ski Profit, Steve Merrill, guys. Best bets are locked and loaded tonight and all weekend long here. And here's a quick recap of what they like. And that is Jazz Clippers first half over 108 for Ski. Merrill says Ben Simmons, he's showing up. 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Kevin Dolan says it's the Clippers to lose here. Take them plus 115, having the opportunity to close this game out tonight at home. And our good friend John Ryan agrees. Take the Clippers, either money line or even, heck, grab the 2.5 points. The Clippers will advance. And again, guys, you head over to Ski's page, Steve Merrill's page, and, of course, Kevin Dolan's page. That's where the best bets are. 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages are available. Make sure you hop on, guys. There's no reason not to make it a very profitable Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A lot going on, and these guys have got you covered. So on behalf of Ski Profit, Steve Merrill, and Kevin Dolan, Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, guys. We'll recap it all for you on Monday, and then look ahead to see what are we going to be looking at for possible championship odds. We'll put it all together on Monday. In the meantime, best of luck with your plays, guys. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you on Monday.
Are you ready for football season? Yes, you heard right. The NFL kicks off in less than 50 days, and WagerTalk and Gold Sheet have you covered with the new Gold Sheet NFL Summer Guide. The Gold Sheet NFL Summer Guide is over 80 pages of actionable NFL handicapping information to help you prep for this season from a betting perspective, and best of all, the guide is free. This includes lines for every NFL game, schedule with Ralph Michaels' exclusive power ratings, position-by-position breakdown with every NFL player that made a start last season, exclusive NFL health reports for each team, and much more. Just go to thegoldsheet.com and the guide is available on the front page with no sign up or information needed.